3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasin the Racin.
Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. It is episode 248.
Which we've just been told by our guest, because he's an avid listener, which is pretty cool.
Very, very impressive. Just before we introduce him, we'll just want to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors. So, Lucky Day Competitions, JCT Truck and Trailer, and as always, OMG Racing. This week's episode sponsor is Ultimate Experience, an events company that specialises in automotive events. So they look after events specifically for car manufacturers, bike manufacturers, anything within the space. Their next event is in collaboration with Norton, which is going to be running from Saturday the 13th to Sunday the 14th of September. And that is going to be held at the Duxford Imperial War Museum. Some of the CTR team will be there riding bikes and supporting as well. So if you want to get booked on that, you can do so if you follow the link in the description. And yeah, anybody who has any requirements for events within the automotive industry, be sure to contact Ultimate Experience. And tonight we're joined by Mr. Rhys Irwin.
Thank you.
How are you?
Thanks for having me.
How's it going?
Yeah, all good. Yeah. Good season so far. We're at round 8, I think. We're Downington Park Thursday evening, so it's good that I get the podcast done before I have to actually do a bit of work.
I think he could actually be a co-host. He's just doing all the jobs for you.
Yeah, totally, just straight in there. Genuinely, I was very impressed. I don't think I've ever been on a podcast where the guest knows the episode, because even Grace went and then Rhys was like a 248.
Yeah. I will say on the way home from work on probably Tuesday I listened to Brad Race, so I'm right on. I'm up to date,
Happy days.
Finger on the pulse. Well, brilliant, mate. Obviously, as you said there, it's round 8 of the British Championship, and you've been having a cracking season. Before we'll kind of go back. Obviously, we've never had you on before, so we're keen to hear your full story. But I guess before we go back to that, how are you feeling coming into round 8?
Yeah, good. I all year I've just kind of relaxed and just sort of took it all as it comes, trying to get too stressed, take it race at a time, weekend at a time, just try and do best I can. And it's been going all right so far, so I'm just going to try and keep doing that between now and the end of the year. Just try and just keep going round by round.
I mean, it's fair to say the lineup in Supersport this year is one of the best we've had in, I would say, the last 10 years or so. It's a really strong lineup with some fantastic riders on some great bikes. So the situation this year is that it's a new team, but not really a new team in how it looks from the outside, shall we say, and how's the dynamic within the team, and how is it working out for you this year? Yeah,
the dynamic is brilliant, to be honest. Without maybe, when I switched to Gearlink sort of 2024, it was quite a bit of a tougher season with the Kawasaki. It was at maybe the end of its life, and then through that year, at a couple tracks, even though when I first went to the bike, it took a bit of adjusting and things were a bit hard and everything. But as soon as I got to the team, I loved working with them. I loved working with Ben Wilson. Loved everyone on the team. Honestly, the 2024 year, I'll probably look back as one of the fondest year with everyone on the team, because I had Brad as a mechanic, Ben Wilson, crew chief, and the whole dynamic in the garage and everything was brilliant. And then as the kind of year went on, and obviously the plan was to finish at the end of the year, I had a couple of good rounds where I was really, really fast compared to other people that rode the Gearlink bikes, and some tracks actually was the quickest Gearlink rider ever. And obviously a lot of good riders that came through Gearlink. So towards the end of the season, I think it was Donington, they took me into Michael's truck and they were like, well, what about this plan? Maybe Ben to take more control of everything, and Michael to be a sponsor of the team and run you on a Suzuki. And I was like, you know what, 100%, sign me up. I couldn't even think of anything else. I was like, that just sounds amazing.
Yeah, because obviously you'd had really good success on Suzuki before. I'd say, from me watching from the outside, because obviously when we're in the paddock, we don't always get to see all the racing. But certainly when I was watching that year, what would it be, 2 years ago now, when you had a real standout year, and it was you and Ben Curry going super at it. Yeah. That was the first time you really jumped into sort of my radar, and I was like, flipping out that boy can ride. But I want to go back actually to the Ben Wilson thing, because everyone has different crew chiefs from different walks of life. Some have raced, some haven't. Having someone who has been so successful and a super sport sort of demigod, I guess, really, that Ben Wilson is, how does that work out? And I guess, can you take sort of a lot of insight into what he says, because he knows what he's on about?
I'll be honest, I really take a lot of comfort in knowing the boy that pushes out the bike and gives me the old slap on the back and put lane, that I know like he's done it. And when he says stuff, I'm like, well, like, I know you've done it. And there was kind of a, like, at Cadwell, like ZX6 2011, he had done like a 20 at 6, which like no one had went as fast as for years and years. I think up until last year, I think Luke might have went quicker in qualifying. But yeah, no, I definitely took a lot of comfort in knowing that sort of he's done it. And he's one of these through your career, you'll know you work with different people and different ways of going about things. Like, and I like Ben Wilson because he will not think twice of telling me when he thinks I'm the one that needs to. And I do like that, because I always think you can get kind of carried away and changing bike and worrying about everything else. And like a lot of the time, Ben will say, "We're not going to touch it. You're just going to go out and ride better." And I'm like, "You know what? If that's good enough for you, it's good enough for me."
You kind of need that sometimes, don't you? And I guess we obviously had Ben on at the start of the season before it was announced that you were going to ride the bike and stuff. And yeah, we know how direct he can be and how sort of straight. And like you say, I guess you need that at times. But it must be lovely to be in a situation where you're really happy with the team. Okay, machinery is maybe a little bit out of date at the time, and just because the evolution of the Kawasaki 600, to then carry that on to a bike that you'd ridden before as well and had success on, I guess is like a dream scenario, isn't it?
Yeah, do you know what it was? So Donington, because when Michael comes to the races, obviously Michael's been around for years and he likes getting the riders in to sort of sit around, and he'll have a few glasses of wine. I might have a bottle of water, maybe a cup of tea. Depending if I'm having a good day, I might have a cup of tea and a few biscuits. But we'll sort of sit around and have the crack, and I just really get on. Like Ben and Michael, they really are my kind of people. Like, they just love racing, and like Ben and Michael especially, like, they come here to do a good job, and they do a good job, and they're really, that's the only reason they do it. They want to come and try and help, and get you to the next level. And I remember Donington going up for the Saturday evening to sit with Michael and have the crack with Michael, Ben and Lou, and they were like, well, what about this plan, and we'll get you a Suzuki. And truth be told, like, if I didn't get the chance to say, well, what about this bike, what about that bike, they had decided, Suzuki, because Gearlink have always been the, like the underdog team. They like being the underdog. They like taking maybe the underdog rider. And I think they felt Rhys Irwin, Ben Wilson on a Suzuki couldn't be any more an underdog. So they kind of, and it's went all right so far.
To be fair, you touched. Actually, we've never actually said who's here.
Oh, I'm here.
Yeah, you probably guessed by now. Yeah. Anyway, so you touched on it. It's the
Hi, I'm Christian.
Yeah. My name's Christian. I'm an alcoholic. Yeah. So you touch on it and saying like it's been very much one of the strongest years of Supersport that has for a long time.
Oh, 100%.
Not only just from a rider perspective, but a bike machinery perspective.
There's like, and it's one thing I can't like emphasize enough. Like Gearlink in the past, it had the 40-foot truck, and it had the tyre men, the mechanics, the data guys, Ben crew chief, and I think it might have been Aaron before my time crew chief, and Michael was involved. Like Performance 15 Gearlink, like it's brilliant in the moment when it's working well, and it's brilliant. Like, I'm very lucky I've got sort of Ben, kind of manager, preps the bike. He kind of does nearly everything, to be fair to him. And my dad is also a mechanic in the team, which is nice because it's definitely times in your career where you're going to get that. And then my brother does the electronics, and which is also, it's nice. I can tell you, see, in a team with your dad and your brother, whenever you're the problem, whenever I'm the one that's not, and whenever like they have no harm in telling me, but yeah, like it's small. You've got Barry as well, helping the team, tires, prepping. So it's like, as much as like it's scaled down, it's small. It's probably one of the smaller, close-knit setups I've ever had.
But efficient.
Efficient, but going up against the might of Honda, Triumph, Torpedo Racing.
Yeah. There's absolutely something to be said about that, and it is a bit of a groundbreaking year. Look at some of the lap times. Obviously, there's the whole new generation stuff, which is in its third season now, isn't it? So it's starting to really.
Yeah, it's 2021 really started, didn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely finding its feet.
100%.
I think the way that Supersport's gone now is, from my side, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think it's the way that all racing is going to go, as in more of a power to weight ratio type racing, where it's not necessarily this is the capacity, let's go. You have to
make it the fastest.
And it's pretty amazing to see the different capacities and how the different strengths of the bikes work in different places.
Yeah.
Obviously, track to track things are very different, and I guess there'll be rounds that you turn up to and then you go, this is good, and then you go with the ones where this is going to be a bit more difficult.
It's one thing with the balancing, I feel like every time you listen to an interview from Supersport, someone's complaining, someone's bitching, and like I could give you 150 reasons why, you know, this bike's better than my bike, and that's better than my bike, and my bike doesn't do this, my bike doesn't do that, and all these ways my bike could be better. But ultimately, I think doing them interviews, you're always complaining. Just there's no point. You're not going to fix anything. Whoever's watching the TV and listen to you complaining isn't going to change the rules. And then also, I think you have what you have, and I think if you spend too much time, or if I feel like if I spend too much time worrying about what everyone else has and not trying to get the best out of my bike, you know, it's not going to fix anything.
I mean, look, it's really obvious at the front of Supersport. You've got Ducati, Suzuki, Honda. I mean, there's no Yamahas now. Triumph. I think you look at the
Yamaha's coming in next year, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah, I think they're pretty pricey.
With the R9.
I think it's available, but it's pricey. So I think it's sort of, that's why there's no scope for people to run them at the minute.
You can afford one then.
Well, BMW bonuses. Exactly.
A
couple of them.
Yeah. Steady on.
More money than the two of us combined.
Moving on. Yeah, I think obviously you're out there racing, so you can see. But as an onlooker, I kind of love seeing. I mean, the Ducati's got some serious grunt. Your bike got some out and out horsepower.
Yeah.
But it's an old chassis.
Yeah,
it's an old bike, and then you've got a Honda 600, which is like still taking it to those. It just shows how.
Looks like it's got a good chassis,
yeah,
but maybe not got the punch.
Exactly, but it shows how good that is. And there's some circuits where it's really nice to see, and it's obviously like it reminds me a little bit of, say, what Superbike would have been like 15 years ago when we had tyre wars. And it was like, oh, you need to
when Superbike almost, when it had the thousands versus the 750 quacks and stuff like that. You know,
that's more your time.
That's back when they had the needles for the revs.
I bet you did.
To jet the bikes into a plug shop.
The plug shop down the Overloop.
You used to have to watch it on VHS, and you have to like wind it back. Oh, it's a no good move. I'll just wind it.
Suspension man was twice as much for the twin shock.
Yeah, like it's obviously from your perspective up against, like you said, here lots of people look at my bike's not quick enough, my bike's this, so on and so forth. I think we're not sat on them. You're out there. Where do you think the strength of the Suzuki is?
Well, I will say with the Suzuki, probably the best way to sum it up was when the Suzuki first came out in 2023 with Astro. My crew chief was guy Steve King. Was brilliant, so like great, helped me so much. And I remember at the time he rang me after the Stu had said, or after guys said we're going Suzuki, and he had said, I know the bike, and he says, I'll tell you one thing, the Suzuki won't do anything amazing, but it'll do everything good. The only bit that's going to be amazing, if you want this to work, you're going to have to be amazing. I promise I won't do anything bad, but you're going to have to make the difference. And I said, you know what, that doesn't sound too bad to me. And with the Suzuki now, you race against the other bikes, the Suzuki, it's quite heavy, and stop start it's really struggles with. So like the first sort of 3 sectors here, it's brilliant, and then when I get into the last sector, it's just the hardest thing in the world. So I think there's a photo from here earlier in the year, and like into the Melbourne Loop, and I think it's Jack, me, and Curry, and Jack's in line, Curry's in line, and Susie, she is opposite lock. Susie's opposite lock. And but yeah, like it's anywhere that I can keep my momentum up, and it's brilliant. But it's trying to slow it down. It's the hardest thing in the world to slow down. It's like that's what I struggle with it, and that's why in the races sometimes when I can get away, do my own thing, and pace is good, and I'm at the front, I can keep chipping away and do my own thing. And it's why in qualifying I'm able to do quite a good lap in qualifying, when I'm feeling good and the bike's working well and I can do good laps and I'm on my own. All the sessions are riding my own. And then when I get into the races, if I get kind of in a group or something, it's so hard to like break with the Ducatis and the Triumphs, and then also to get out of the corners with them. Whereas the Suzuki, you really need to keep your momentum up. So look, it is what it is. I kind of, that's what it feels like when I'm riding the Suzuki. If I could just get Susie to slow down a bit better, it'd be lovely.
I mean, that's been pretty obvious, apparent, really, because in the qualifyings and stuff, you put in some insane lap times, like absolutely mental. But then obviously, you would think that would transpire into like easy wins. But then obviously, when you get racing, it's a very different scenario.
Yeah, and it's really, if I can get to the front, like I know Thruxton I led from start to finish, and Thruxton's the hardest track in the world to like get away. But honestly, I just in the race got at the front, and I was like, well, save my tires, not do anything stupid. And I just ticked off the laps, and I think one was, it might have been 2 seconds, whatever was the end. And like again, fast flowing, no big stop start. First sector a little bit, but other than that, there I could kind of keep it going. Here earlier in the year, first 3 sectors really strong, last sector really struggled, but first half of the lap was good, and then Brands Hatch fast flowing for the most part. Been brilliant. And but yeah, look, like I said before, this is the Supersport now. It's like Superbikes. I'm sure you ride behind someone on a Ducati or someone whatever bike, and you go, well, my bike does this, but I can't do that, and it's just the nature of it, and you just have to get on with it, don't you?
It does feel a bit like that, because that's kind of been in Superbike for a while. You can see where the different strengths are, especially like the Yamahas and stuff. But just touching on Thruxton before we kind of go, we'll go back. But you've had a pretty faultless season up until that point. Sorry to mention it, but pretty spectacular off at Thruxton. What was the? I honestly believed that the throttle had stuck open when he crashed, because it spun and smoked that much that I thought something had generally gone wrong.
I will say it's one of them ones where like the video looks like a lot worse than it was. I'll tell you, I was off and I was on the grass before I even knew it. Like, I was just a whole lot of sky ground. Okay, I'm up, it's all right. And then you start doing the normal. I was going to swear there. And but yeah, I'd won on Saturday, qualified on pole. I felt good, honestly. When we got there, I didn't change the bike much. Again, Thruxton's not one of them tracks where I feel like bike setup really, really restricts you. You kind of have to ride the track, figure it out, learn. So I done a lot of work Friday, working away, long runs, qualifying, good run. And then first race, perfect. Like probably one of the best races I've ever done. And just Sunday, got at the front, and I was like, right, do it yesterday. Do a couple of good laps here, make a bit of a gap, and just one of them just spun up. I hadn't all year since I've rode the bike, I've not crashed it, and it was my first crash. And yeah, it's a bit unfortunate that it came when I'm leading feature race at Thruxton, where I felt really good and everything, but one of them, look, it just spun off a wee bit. The smoke and everything, the camera doesn't really show it, but I have the high side, and as it slides, it like comes back and like sort of folds in itself, and then the whole bike kind of goes and then chucks me over. So it wasn't, I would say it was a big price for maybe not a massive mistake, but again, like it's just one of them. One of them I'm trying. I came in and I was like, oh, sorry, Ben, and he says, you've pretty much run the lap record every track this year and you've not crashed, so don't be worrying, like it's bound to happen at some point. Yeah, you're
allowed one.
Yeah. Well, actually, to be fair to Ben, like he's like, before I go on the bike, he goes, you go as hard as you can, don't you be worrying about fixing her. So it's a nice night out. Ben didn't make me feel too bad about it. Like, it's just, for me, it's annoying feature race points, whatever, but again, all year I've not been thinking about changing for panicking, so it is what it is, just keep going.
Do you get the same points for feature race and sprint?
Yeah, feature race and sprint, points,
sure. Yeah. So the championship position at the minute is like, what is it, 7 or 9 points?
I think it's 9 behind, yeah.
And then is there a big gap, or is there one more?
I think it's 30, but like, yourself, for 4 rounds to go, a third of the season to go, that can be turned on its head, upside
so
down.
You and Corey, but then Jack
and Steve, yeah.
But like, that's like you say, 30 points sounds a lot. That's a mistake, and your closest rival wins the race, which is entirely possible.
So possible,
it does happen.
And so it is tight. With 8 rounds remaining, that is tight.
Yeah.
And then we're going to like places, you might get some weather here this weekend, but we're going to places like Assen, where you absolutely guaranteed you're going to get an iffy mixed race at some point over the weekend. We might not, but like, it's all to play for still, isn't it?
If it's sunny now, everyone's going to be clipping this.
Well, it's not the first time I've been called a liar or something else.
Do you know what, if you're called if you're called a liar because it's sunny at Aston, I'll not complain.
Just obviously there's probably loads of other things, and there's questions from the patrons and stuff that we want to ask you about this season in particular, but I've known you for quite some time now, mainly when you've been doing 600s and stuff, and but really keen to understand like a little bit more about your earlier career. I know that you started off motocross and Superteens, but just give us like a run through of the timeline on that.
So I'm from west coast of Ireland, Donegal. Don't know if anyone...
We couldn't tell by your accent.
I'm not sure anyone's been to the northwest. If you stand on the start line and you look out over the water and you see that land, well, I'm on like the other side again. So I'm just far side of Letterkenny for anyone, and only people that are going to get that is people from home. But so yeah, everyone says my whole life's been motorbikes, with having an older brother and then my dad. So my dad would have done a bit of road racing and stuff back in the day, and he would have done sidecars and he would have worked on bikes and stuff way back in the day. And then when Keelan came along, Mum was like, that's it, no more road racing. And then for really as long as I can remember, Dad had bikes around the house, and brother, he's 4 years older than me, and then you know what it's like whenever your brother does something, you're doing it. So brother then, he started having like motocross bikes and stuff around the house, and as much as for as long as I can remember as motorbikes, I was never like one of these bred to be a motorbike racer. Like we were very much, I would say, started out just loved going. Like, and I remember going first. I mean, like I remember my first day going to ride a motocross bike. I had a PW50 and go to this place called the Isle of Roy in Downings, and it's literally a beach, like a big long, like a sand dunes and everything. And I remember like just going like, this is the best thing ever. And like PW50 just goes blah 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 blah, but I felt like I was on an airplane. And but yeah, then just started just motocrossing, and then you start going to local club championship. Well, actually, I remember turning, I can't remember if it's 5 or 6 you have to be to start racing motocross at home, so 6 I think it was, and I turned 6 on Thursday because my brother had already been racing for years. He had an RM85 or maybe 65, and I remember I got all geared up and I turned 6 on Thursday and I was going racing on the Saturday. And I remember like I'd rode the bike before, I'd been up and down the beach, I'd done practice that morning, and I was like, just can't wait to get going, raring to get going all week at school, going, it's class. And got to the start line, and wife puts the 15-second board up, and Dad stands beside me revving, and I go, not today, Dad, we're not going today. And Dad
you just hit the kill switch, and that was it.
Yeah, that was it. So then Dad goes, yeah, no bother, don't be like, it's grand, whatever. Push the bike back, and then because my brother was racing, it was easy to like, he was going anyway.
Yeah.
So then the next week, next race, the local race again, down to the grid, the 15-second board again. Like, and I'd done practice. I'd have been revving all week. I'd be in school going, I can't believe no one else here gets to go ride a motorbike this weekend. Like, I can't wait. And started again, 50. Your man does the green flag. Actually, at home, the boy at the local club champ used to go thumbs up to everyone, and then he'd go green flag, 15-second board, and I went, nah, not today, Dad. Just and then back in, and I remember Dad being like, what's wrong? Like, because you don't practice this morning. And I was like, because when you're young and like if you're 6 years old, the track field's massive, and I was like, if I crash all the way over there, like that'll be me. I'll be lost there forever. Like, how are you going to find me? Like, if I crash, how are you going to know it's me? And then Mum and Dad were like, right. So that's how I've been number 69 my whole life. And I remember then that evening, Mum and Dad being like, right, what about this? And they put 69 on a piece of paper, and they were like, well, 69 here, look, 69 upside down, still 69. So if you crash and the bike's up down, we'll still know it's you. And I was like, that's good logic. I'll go with that. And then
that's brilliant.
Never looked back. Been raced ever since. And then done the normal club motocross stuff. Started racing local club championship and then Irish championship, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. Brother was racing, I was racing, and just kind of through motocross. I went quite well, quite quick. I kind of got to stage like 50s and stuff. I'd be like winning Irish championship races and stuff, and it's a good motocross career, to be honest. Grew up, love motocross. I was a real motocross kid. Still now.
You're still going to start like throwing out about dirt scooters in a second.
There's just nothing like it.
I grew up like big motocross kid, loved it. Like to now I'll still stay up and watch Anaheim 1 every year. Went through motocross, like won a lot of championships, and I will say one thing, I was always lucky, like because my dad worked on bikes and stuff, like we're a normal working class like family, like we were very, very normal, but like my bike's always like Dad was able to make sure they ran, and bikes never broke down and never had any problems like that. trying to think through motocross career.
When did the love for road racing, like where was the connection?
So motocross, went through motocross on the 50s, 65s and normal stuff, and then 2014, maybe 2015, I started getting a bit of help from Husqvarna, and I was riding Husqvarna 85, local Husqvarna dealer at home. And that this year, because my poor brother, he had a lot of big crashes motocross, and then he kind of got hurt a lot, and then he went to try. Mum and Dad got him a Aprillard 125 for Christmas, so he went and done Aprillard 125 racing at home, or would have been Superteens at home, but it's called something else, but Superteens at home. And then Mum took me motocrossing, so like on the same day at different ends of the country, you could have had Mum race motocross with me and
you're not saying 69 from there.
Yeah. And then Dad, by the time I got there, I actually knew I knew what it was and all then. So I thought it was even cooler. And get that.
That reminds me of a Chrissy story which I absolutely cannot repeat. I'll tell you after. She knows the story, that's why.
I've done motocross, everything, and then that year, my last year motocross 85, Mum was going racing with me, and Dad's going racing with Keelan, and I'd won quite a lot of championships like that year. I had 4 championships at home. I won 3 of them, and I think one of them was a club champion and stuff, but I like Irish and also championship, like I still would have been the one of the main guys, and love motocross. With me and mum going, me mum against the world, and I always pick my moments at motocross. There was the Northwest 200 grass track, and at the time, with Trevor Scott, you might know me, runs the Aprilias at the roads now with like Mike Brown and Joe Yearsley this year. Him and Dad would have been friendly back in the day. Dad would have worked on some bikes and stuff for him like way back, and he came to the Northwest grass track, and I was riding a small wheel 85, and I'd won the small wheel race, and I was the 85 together, so I won the race, won the small wheel and big race on the small wheel, and he was there watching. And then at the end of the day, they put all the 125s, 250s, 85s together, all the people that had won, and I ended up, I think, finishing second on that race. Some boy in 250 beat me, and then Trevor was there that day, and he was all like, "Oh, going well, what about getting you 125?" and and my brother was racing the 125 at this point, and then another race later on in the year he came to it, and obviously with my brother racing and I'd been to races with him, I had always been thinking, you know what I could do, this would be cool. This because at that age it was just motorbikes, anything with engine and wheels I was happy enough. And at the end of the year he was like, well, we'll go and do Superteens. My brother would do the 450 challenge, the probably RV 450s, and I would do Superteens because we had the 125 and brother was riding, so we kind of polished it up, cleaned it up, got it. I got the hand-me-down, and we just went and did that. So again, real as again at the deep end, I went from racing motocross. I'd done the licensing day and the probably 125 riding my brother's old leathers, like just threw everything on, rode around Bishop's Court to get my license, and then literally first proper run I was Brands Hatch, like from riding motocross bike, and I went Brands Hatch, pit lane, paddock hill, Druids, down the left, crashed. Just went down, fell over. But you know when you're like, I'm used to going like this, and then I'm trying to like suss it all out, and you're at Brands Hatch, and when you're 12, I'd been in family holidays and stuff, like I'd travel whatever, but it's being thrown into a truck with a lot of grown men at 12 years old. I'll never forget Thunder Sports. So like our 12, you just like still need to be told what to do. So I got there on and set up, and he's like, right, Rhys, go for a shower, Dad, send me a shower. And back then Brands Hatch showers, they didn't have like the dividers, and I go up, and there was some boy there, I don't know if he was a mechanic or what it was, and he was like flossing and everything, and I remember going, I am never showering at a racetrack again. And I was quite small, and I had hair down to here, and I remember being absolutely traumatized. And next morning I crashed, and I was like, I've really bit off a lot more than I can chew here. And but yeah, that year it was good. Superteens, like again, I was always a big Casey Stoner fan, so once I heard Superteens I was like, yeah, I'm in. Yeah. And yeah, and cause I remember in school having to do like you do school book reports or whatever, and like I remember Keelan reading that Casey's book, and I probably didn't know half of it because I would have been whatever age, but I was like reading Casey's book and all, and I was like, yeah, Superteens, that sounds brilliant. And in that year, and that Brands Hatch ended up being on the podium on the Sunday, and I think it was Max Cook on the podium
at the first race.
Podium, and then I remember Max Cook won the race, and I can't remember who else was second. I can't remember now, sorry, whoever it was. But I ended up third, and that year I had a few podiums and stuff, and again sussing it out, just normal 12-year-old Superteens starting to understand everything. I remember actually
loving it.
Yeah, I remember I won a set of tyres like 6 rounds in, and I went out on the test day. When I had new tyres, and I wasn't really sure how I felt about the new tyres because the tyres that were on the bike were grippy, so we don't know why we needed to change the tyres. And then Trevor was like, okay, we'll put the tyres on the bike for the test day. And I remember coming in being like, nah, other ones back in. These ones aren't as good as the ones we've taken out.
The new tyres.
New Dunlop for Superteens, but I quickly went out of that habit. I'd say if Dad could put me back into that habit, he would.
It is funny, like the things that you don't know. Like when I came, one of my first on-track experiences on a Ron Haslam race school, actually here at Donington Park, because that's where we're recording this one, obviously. And I'd only ever done off-road stuff before. And then at the end, my dad was coaching, but I hadn't been out with him. And then at the end of the day, someone said, "Oh, you can go out with your dad." So I just jumped on a bike and I just went as fast as I could to show off to my dad. And then I got an absolute bollocking. Luckily, I wasn't very fast. He was like, "You can't go that fast. Well, the tyres are cold." I'm like, "What do you mean the tyres are cold?"
Yeah.
Like,
you don't have to warm them
up
on the day.
You don't have to warm up on motocross. Like, some of these things are need-to-know things, aren't they? But I was going to say, like, obviously, you kind of answered the question, but, like, how did you find the adaptation did you realise you were adapting as quick as you did? Because obviously you podiumed on your first weekend, but like, was it quite a natural thing to go from the motocross to the tarmac?
I don't know, really. At that age, I don't really think about it.
But you didn't have to work at it. It was just like...
No. Well, I've crashed my third lap on my third corner on the first lap.
Well, it obviously didn't put you off.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, though, because I remember...
Actually, I crashed twice that weekend. I crashed on warm-up as well.
Yeah, sorry. So it's funny you say that, because I remember being at Brands Hatch for a Superteen meeting and Jake Dixon doing his first ever race meeting with an orange vest on and riding it like a motocross bike and having a massive high side at Clearways. Don't know if he can remember this, but I remember because it was on the TV as well. And I just remember thinking, like, obviously he's in Grand Prix now, but I just remember thinking, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I'd never done motocross. I'd only ever ridden on tarmac.
Yeah.
So like, I think if my dad had got me into motocross,
it's a very different thing.
I wouldn't have.
I can remember doing it and going like, you ride and you're like, this thing's got infinite grip. It's actually impossible.
Yeah, it's weird.
To fall off us.
Oh, it's even how you like approach the corner as well. Like, you know, I'd never in my life. Obviously now I understand. You go to say Patakill, you brake, you release the brake, try a roll, carry your momentum. Whereas like motocross, you just go into the middle of the corner, bang.
Whack it open.
Yeah. Whereas like you don't actually think about the like tying it together. Whereas obviously that's what makes good people good and the not good people not good. So yeah, that's kind of stuff that again I didn't really just kind of went with it and kind of came as it.
And so the switch, if you sort of. Would you have been happy to carry on the motocross, or was it just like a family thing that you all gravitated that way, or? Oh
no, I kept them. I told Dad, don't sell the motocross bike.
You wanted to stay motocross?
Yeah, honestly, I love motocross, but because then this kind of opportunity to go to Superteens and everything, and it was a natural thing. But I always had motocross in the back of mine, and when you're that age, like at that age, you're always like, oh, I'll just be a motorbike racer. You know, I'm never not going to be a motorbike racer. And I always thought, like, I'm 13 now, or I'm 12 now, second year 13. Like, I was like, sure, if I pulled the motocross bike out and went training again, should I be back doing what I was doing within a couple of weeks? Like, so you're never... It's like you're that age, you don't think you're like picking a path, even though you are, but you don't think you are. You always think like, I could just go back and do that if I wanted. Sure, I've got loads of time, and probably didn't even think about it that much at the time. I just always had in the back of my mind, sure, I can just go back to motocross if I want. You're
obviously like a super talented motocrosser. Do you still ride now for training and stuff, or not too
no?
much?
So
he's trying to groom you. He'll be trying to find out what track you're going to so he can turn him.
I actually rode.
There's worse kinds of grooming, so I'll say that. At least I only do it to go ride motocross with someone.
Well, you're a dad now. You need to be careful with these clips. Yeah, this could be clipped way out of context. There's no kind of good grooming. I actually rode motocross for the first time last winter. So Josh Chambers, one of the guys, he mechanics for Burrows. He has a spare Honda 250, and he was like, "Oh yeah, come out with us." So I went tried Des Martin the first time, but
best
with motocross,
track ever, by the way.
Oh yeah,
that is like
I grew up Des Martin. Yeah, amazing. I grew up with like coming home and like
that sand track.
Yeah. But you've done Des Martin. I remember like my boxers, my t-shirt, my socks would all be orange sand because it's like a dark orange sand, and everything motocross gear, everything would just be stained orange sand. Like all the time.
It's an amazing. Like once a year we got to go, and it was like I can just remember I probably went 3 or 4 years maybe, but that was the only thing I looked forward to in the motocross calendar was going over to Desert Martin.
Yeah.
Really?
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah. The first time I rode a bike in years and kind of held on to the motocross bike and stuff, and as you do when you're that age. But after Superteens, the kind of British Talent Cup opportunity came about. So when I got into that and done the selection event and everything, I was like, right, okay, we need to try and make the most of this. So to be honest, we just sold all the motocross stuff to try and like get a bike and prepare. And I was actually very lucky that year that the motorcycle in Ireland, they bought me like the motorcycle governing body. They got me Moto3 to help me do it, like to practice on and train on. Yeah.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
And I sold all the Moto3 and everything, and give us money to like try and do some BSB rounds and stuff to like try and, because I sort of came from sort of Superteens and stuff, and obviously you had guys that have been racing BSB before when I was the British Talent Cup. I feel like I've skipped a big window.
Well, no, because that's a good point, because so I remember you doing British Talent Cup. I guess that's when I would have first met you, actually.
Yeah. Mac, I've just had dinner with Max and he was talking about you in British Talent Cup.
Yeah, well...
I'm sure he had loads of good stories.
None that are broadcastable. I didn't realise that you went from Superteens. Obviously, I know you did.
Well, so I did Superteens for 2 years, so it must have been So my first year in British Superteens, had a few podium stuff, up and down year, 1 to 5, normal 12-year-old learning, crash wee bit, do good, play your friends in the evening, normal stuff. And well, actually Trevor had a rule that I wasn't allowed out of the garage or out of the awning until the bike was clean. So I had to clean the bike, and also if I crashed, I had to do the dishes. So I done a lot of dishes. I done a lot of dishes.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I had a lot of dishes first year. And
it is a good thing, stuff like that. I remember riding when I first did 125s in BSB, we rode for a team called Replicast, who'd had like a number of really good team at bringing like riders into British Championship, and they had a rule that you wash the fairings.
Yeah.
And like all the lads washed the truck,
nice.
and all the lads did the fairings.
I say like we went with Trevor and that, like it was my dad, Trevor and Gary Fleming, and literally it was just 3 of us going a truck. The truck had bikes in it, and we put up the on and went. So it really is, what did you say, team? Like it was just boys going racing. Like it was good. But then the second year we Superteens at that time was kind of, there was maybe 15, 16 bikes in the grid, and I think the KTM 390 and stuff was starting to come, and people maybe not going to Superteens, so they changed over the second year where they allowed a restricted 450 in. So I ended up riding it, and that year again, British Superteens, Casey Stoner won it. That's the plan, and I ended up finishing second, losing it by a point. We'll just skip on now. The next thing. don't want to talk about it.
To?
Jack Scott.
Right.
Jack Scott. Yeah, I went into the last round 30 points ahead. Broke down 4 races in the weekend, got taken out, and it's just a bit unfortunate. It was unlucky at the time.
One dishwashing too many.
Yeah, none of these were my fault.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, so second year Superteens, lost by a point second, won a lot of races, was good, nice. Like first year you had good at flashes there, but it was my first time that winning and doing all that stuff, and you really, when at that age you really care about something. And things are going well, it's all good, like it's all part of the journey. It makes you who you are. So then that finished up the end of the year, and at that age I was probably 12, 13. I was still doing every sport. I was playing rugby. I was in the Ulster, like the provincial Ulster Rugby Academy, and I was still boxing at home. So like my poor dad, the van was wrecked, so I would do Monday night boxing, Wednesday night boxing, finish boxing 7 o'clock, drive the rugby pitch, rugby train from 7 to 9:30 or whatever it was, and then Friday back boxing again, and then Saturdays you playing rugby or whatever. And I remember just busy flat out all winter, normal stuff, every sport I could, and I broke my leg really bad Christmas week, and one of them was playing rugby out of my age group, playing people probably too big for me, and bad break, tibia, fibia, ankle, growth plate. Ugh. Like one of them ones you're lying on the pitch.
How big was this bloke that hit you?
I don't want to just, I was running and his kind of knee came down and my leg got the old snap, and it was one of them ones where like I'm lying on the pitch and say my knee is pointing up and my foot's on the
this is getting like the Ben Wilson podcast. I was like that.
Yeah, no, it's not. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't that bad. But at this point, like I had broken. At this point up to racing motocross, I'd broken like my wrist. I'd broken my shoulder. I'd broken both shoulders. I'd broken my wrist. Actually, broken both wrists. The last year on Husqvarna, I run on the bike and broke my right wrist and missed the first round of a couple of the championships, and. I remember every time I got hurt racing motocross, I was like, yeah, sure, cast off. Dad, like another thing, all my casts growing up, Dad cut them off the hand grinder. So like I got better at it as I was going along.
So he managed to not get the skin by the end.
So like every time I got hurt riding motocross, I would be like, yeah, 2 or 3 weeks, Dad, get the cast cut off, get a thing, start getting stronger, normal stuff. I remember lying there on the rugby pitch, and again, because maybe you don't have the like bike riding, the adrenaline, you normally don't get winded or you don't get a big bang. I remember lying there and like paying, waiting for the ambulance to come, thinking like, never playing rugby again. And I never ever had that thought, no matter how big I crashed or ever motocross, I never had that. Motorbikes, just rugby, I was like, this is, I don't even want to race.
So that was, do you think, because the adrenaline wasn't the same, or because you hadn't had like the crash bang wallop that a normal?
No, I just think I love motorbikes way more.
Oh, so
yeah, and I just think
it hurt you more because you didn't have the same love for the rugby.
Yeah, motocross, I got hurt and I would think like, sure, I'll go in 2 weeks time, going racing, championship's not over, I can beat him there because I'm better than him there. Whereas I'd play rugby, I was like, I'm just sore and I'm pain. I don't care about the next rugby match, or I don't care about the next thing. So I kind of got my operation, I'd got my screws and whatever in my leg and got all sorted and that, and kind of missed the kind of start of the next season. And my mum and dad got one of the full power Pirelli 450s, and because I kind of missed the start of the season, I just kind of done the Irish lightweight supersport championship, which was like 400s Pirelli 450, and I broke the 2 lap records of Mondello in that class, and on the Pirelli 125 as well the year before. I feel like I'm skipping loads of stuff, but the year before I broke the 125 lap records as well that it stood for like years and years. And you know, it's like the Pirelli 125s, everyone rode them.
Yeah.
So when you beat a lap record that you know that everyone has rode a Pirelli 125.
Yeah, it's a real lap record.
I was like,
yeah,
that's a good lap record.
The bikes have never changed.
Yeah,
so
no,
exactly.
the bikes never changed. And as well, because my bike would have been like the Superteen regulation bike, so I still had like the 2-stroke mixing tank, the standard road fairings and everything. Like, so you know, it was like I was good. And then by the end of that year, back on my feet, the lightweight supersport lap records, and then the British Tank Cup selection event was coming, so done a couple of the Thundersport rounds in the 450, the RV 450 Cup. When the selection event went well, got into the British Tank Cup.
How did the selection event work? Where was that, and how did that happen?
So I will say the British Talent Cup, the way we got it was honestly the best thing ever. Like, it's such a loss now that it's gone to the format it is now, because
it was like Red Bull Rookie-esque, wasn't it?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And
so is that when they had all the same bikes, didn't you?
yeah, so I went to the British Talent Cup, so I done that. I'm trying to in my head trying to map out, you know, it's easy to lose train of thought. So Silverteen's done broke my legs, kind of that whole next year was really kind of like muddy, came back from getting hurt, done a couple of races at home, a couple of races in the UK, and then because my brother had just started riding, well, he was still in the 40, or it might have been 600. I think he just started riding a 600, he had a 13S R6, and so done that wee bit, and then British Talent Cup selection event came, and that was kind of for me, get into the British Talent Cup, it's going to be amazing. So went to the selection event, and they start, and it was cold, foggy, miserable. Silverstone Stowe, don't know the wee kart track in the middle of Silverstone, cold, foggy, like horrible, cold, stressful day in Silverstone. And the first thing is you get there and you walk the track, and it's all foggy and misty and cold because it's quite late in the year. I think was it maybe September time or whatever. So you're starting to get into like the late morning, the long mornings.
And what bikes were you riding?
So they were little Honda 250 like road bikes, and they had a wee race fairing on them, but like they were really basic little Honda road bikes. And what they did was they put us all out in the morning, they give us the briefing, you know, you go in, so you went into the next room and they sat and they told you into the next room, and then you like got your number of your bike out of a hat, and you went and you sat in your bike and you went out, and they put everyone out, and then I think it was maybe 150, I can't remember the number now, but whatever amount of kids there, cut 20 or whatever it was.
What, just straight up?
Like, no one knew like how many.
Savage.
No one knew how many sessions you were going to get. No one knew how many laps. No one knew what the plan was. Next session out, everyone goes out, and I'm telling you, I was going hard as I could. And next session, cut. And every time, like, because you know what them things are like, he's timing, and then I always knew. So I can't remember who it was. It wasn't the group before me, but I think I was like the third or fourth group, say out of maybe say 6. And I always knew you might have had like people that I would have known, because like I've come from like Superteens and racing at home and racing Thundersport to now I'm at the selection event, and like Max Cook, who's winning British Moto 3 races, Thomas Strudwick, who's winning British Moto 3 races, Storm Stacey, who's winning British Moto 3 races, are all here. And like,
so you knew the names, like
I knew the names, like, so, and you'd time them and he'd be like, okay, he's done a 106 or whatever the lap time was, and like I'd come in and Keelan would be like, okay, 105.5, and I'd be like, yeah. But then the next group would go out, because the day is getting warmer and the bar's moving, and the next group they might do a low 105, and it might be Max Cook, he does a low 105, and you're going, oh, but then they'd cut. And that day I wasn't terribly stressed, because I was always in the fastest couple, so I was like, you know, I'm going alright, this is all going to plan, don't get too stressed. And then I crashed in the last session of the day, but it was just one of them things, try and crash the bike. But I got a good day, I went fast and I got in, and done the selection event, got measured for the Alpine Star levels and everything, and then that was it. We went home, and that's when as I said before, we were like, right, okay, this is serious now. Like, Alberto Pug is at the selection event, like he calls out Rhys Irwin selected, whoever else selected, and they go through, and I still have in my bedroom on the wall, they had a whiteboard, they stuck like a white sheet with a list of people that got into it, and Mum was there, and typical Mum, she took the sheet when we were in the commotion of everything. So I have the sheet on my wall in my bedroom, and it has like everyone that was in it, the height, the weight, the date of birth, where they're from, and the list. And I mean, at that time we were like, okay, now this is a good opportunity. Like there's a proper thing. So that's when we sort of sold all the motocross stuff to try and like train and do everything proper, and kind of like, because I'd never raced BSB or not done any sort of the proper Moto3 stuff or anything, whereas I was going to be racing the Moto3 and I was going to be racing people that had rode Moto3s for a couple of years. So I was very, very lucky that year. The Motorcycle in Ireland, the governing body, they got me a bike.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, they got me a bike for training on, and I was really, really grateful for that, because like a Moto3, I can't remember what it was at the time, like, but it was a big outlay to like go and like, we're giving you to buy this, and then you need to like get ready and ride it and prep it and train and test it and everything. So they got me the bike, and then I was able to like use the sort of, don't normal families, we all worked whatever, and then try to do the BSB round. So my brother came, and per mum and dad, like they had, that's one thing I'll be really grateful for. Mum and dad have like put their lives on hold for me and brother to race. So like working every hour God gives them, and then so Keelan started doing stock 6, and I started doing Moto3, but it wasn't too bad that year, because the British Talent Cup, obviously they covered everything for like British Talent Cup.
So once you get selected, they provide pretty much everything you need once you're on site.
So we sort of got our own thing together to do the British Moto3 rounds that didn't clash, whatever. So then Valencia, they started the email, they organised. So the first test, we went to Valencia, they private hired Valencia out for everyone, and you get to the first test, and so you walk in the first day, you're told to get there. So they flew us out and they put us in a hotel, and like in the hotel, like hotel breakfast, everything, and I remember thinking like, this is mad. Like this is mad.
You're not in Mondello anymore, boy.
I remember thinking, this is mad. And you get there and you go for breakfast the next morning, and like all of us are down there and you're sitting having breakfast, and you're kind of looking around everyone. You see like Alberto Pugs over here, a couple of guys from Honda, Anna Espeleta, all the like proper MotoGP people are there. And then they put us all on a bus and we go to Valencia. And then the first thing is, I remember the garages, they had like the 3 garages, say all the bikes were in, and then the first one was like to the rider room, and you go in like, so the first one you went into the room and they done the chat with everyone, like, this is serious, this isn't a game now, this is, you need to take this serious, blah blah, all the normal stuff. Everyone took their number out of a hat. So I remember going up to the bin, and she had all the numbers crunkled up, and I picked out 15, and I went 6 and 9 added together. That's unreal. So I got 15 and went down into the riders room, and like Alpine Star, head to toe, shark helmets, head to toe, boots, gloves, everything, and like, this is the maddest thing ever. And you're Alpine Star, you know what it's like. You get it every September or every January even.
And I'm very grateful for it.
And then you walk in, you see the bike, and like brand new mint Moto3, nice fairings, everything mint, everything good. And
they did have everything. I can remember seeing them lined up. I think it was Snet one time, and I was just sort of minding my own business in the garage. But then they used to bring them all out and then line them all up. But they were just lined up, all
mint,
beautifully lined up, and then all these little kids, and you will have been one of them, just come trundling down,
long hair,
sort of like, and then just get on the, and it was just. It was amazing, because I'd never even seen that sort of thing, that sort of organisation before in anything really. It was
I guess Red Bull Rookies, I guess that's the sort of foundation of it.
It was literally just the exact same thing with white bikes and Hondas.
Yeah.
And it's something as well, you probably have it when you like transfer, when you go from like riding for your dad's bike or whatever, mum and dad's bike, and you ride for a team, and like everything is like mint on the bike. Like you go ride this British Talent Cup Moto3, and it was mint all the time. It was unbelievable. And first test, I think ended up again, because I had not done the whole BSB thing, and then obviously you're young, you watch the races, you see, you know of Storm, you know of Max, you know of Strudwick, you know of Rory Skinner's in it that year as well, you know of all the people. And I think I finished the first test 8th or 9th, and I remember going like, when they put up the press release, I was in it, and I was like, that was a good day. And then I came here for round 1. I don't know if you remember that year here was like hailstone and torrential rain, whatever. And I ended up finishing Friday 4th, and I think that I qualified in the front row, and I was wet and patchy and miserable, and I think I crashed like 2-3 times, and I crashed. And I remember after the thing coming in, and I was all upset, and I was like, just keep crashing, whatever. And I remember Alberto Pug coming down, he was like, what's wrong with you? And he's quite cold, and I was like, just like, I'm sorry, just keep crashing. And he was like, don't worry, when you crash up here, we have no problem. You down here and you crash, we have problem. So yeah, it was good that way. And then again that year, like, I kind of had to, you like have to learn a lot in a short period of time, because obviously you have guys that have raced them for a couple of years and stuff, and I'm sussing it out, learning it, and honestly, hard at times because you're in the garage with everyone that like, it's just hard, it's hard. Motorbike racing's hard, a lot of competition, because they paid for it and there was a selection event and everything, and it was such a good opportunity. There was no one left out. The 20 riders that were in that were the, you know what I mean? It was unbelievable. And then that year, got to the end of the year, and they take everyone in for like a meeting. So you do Valencia MotoGP, we did, was the last round, and they take you in number order, Anna, and you had Alberto, and then the Danny Rabalta, the rider coach. He's a legend. He used to race like 250 Grand Prix and stuff. He still does the rider coach for Rebel Rookies. Honestly, unbelievable. Through your career, you probably have it. You meet loads of like cool, unbelievable people, and people you remember, people you learn stuff from. And he's definitely one that I always think like he was good. He helped me a lot, because
in terms of riding or like
everything,
generally,
like I think I got the British Talent Cup so like raw. Like you talk about the like adjusting from motocross to short circuits, I was probably still in that when I got to that thing, because you know what it's like, you don't,
right in the deep end.
And like you go to club racing and you enjoy it, or you win and you race at home, but like this is the first time I'm like, this is a proper thing. So he helped me a lot to like understand everything and how to approach everything. And so you go into the meeting and he's like, yes, Rhys, next year we come back, good plan, you good first season, we've stuff to work on, but all good. And I was like, yes. And I remember at the time they had us lined up, and probably sounds really harsh to bring it up, but like I remember those wee boys come out of the meeting crying. So obviously had been let go, and I'm standing there on the line going, holy fuck, they're going to get rid of me. Definitely, I've crashed like 10 times, they're definitely getting rid of me. And like that weekend I crashed twice, and I was like, oh. But
that is just so savage though, isn't it? Like
it was, but you know what, it was hard. Like it was like at any one time, like Anna brought us in and was like, this is serious, like you need to take this serious. And I'm glad that I went into it at like, I think I was 14 going into it, and I was old enough to know that it was like, take this serious, there's a good opportunity here. And then I was able to like get as much as I could. I tell you now, I got everything out of it. And so back to second year, good, unbelievable, again, experience, best thing ever. Again, really hard, but good hard, learned a lot, got the like pushed myself so hard. But at that stage I was growing a lot, and look at me now, I'm not massive, I'm 65 kilos, I work hard on my weight now, I'm not heavy.
Bragging.
I'm not heavy, I'm 65 kilos.
What, you're far more than that?
But see, when I was 15, I was 65 kilos as well.
Right.
I hit that, and then obviously it's hard that season. Them bikes, the power to weight is so important.
Yeah.
And like I remember coming in, I remember Silverstone National, them races were always hectic, like we're always within. But I remember leading the race, 2 laps to go, coming out of the last corner, and you see the gantry, like 2 laps to go, or whatever it was, 18 of 20. Mm-hmm. I remember thinking like, that's all right, the safest way to make sure I get a trophy here is to lead out of the last corner. And I'd done everything I could, stay at the front, and then I ended up coming across the line in 5th, 0.1 of a second off the win, or 0.18 or whatever it was. Just come out of the last corner, and I was going
fuming.
Yeah. And I had so many of them like 4th places where like it's a big battle, and then but you'd kind of outgrown Moto3 because of your stature, because of my size. And now don't get me wrong, I tried it and I would never give up on it. The whole season I kept like pushing everything, and I remember like dieting so hard and trying everything for weight, and I'm 15 and I'm 5'8", I round up to 5'9", and whatever kilos, like. And I remember I finished in the podium at Brno at the Grand Prix, and I can't remember who was in the podium with me. I think it might have been, was it Scott Ogden, maybe someone. And I remember at the time they like took us in. Forgot to say, in the British Talent Cup we talk about savageness. They would put us on the weighing scales in our boxers every Thursday. So like, wow. I knew this was coming, and I would be like, Thursday I'd be like, cut. And,
just sorry to chop you, but just that I said about how savage it was. I don't know if that's just because we're not used to it in the UK for that kind of thing, whereas obviously in Spain and Italy, because that was where they brought that format from.
Yeah,
that was probably just the normal thing that all them kids have been through it. And actually, like from my side, I'm listening to your story, I'm thinking, God, that's flipping savage. But actually, maybe that's just the way that they churn out these amazing kids.
I'll be honest, I think that's why it didn't last here.
Well, so you see at the very first test, when I talk about us going in and like getting the letters and all, like, so in the hell, you had people's helpers and families and all there, and they closed the garage door, all of us into our boxers weigh us, and like they'd be like, you know, you must lose 1 kilo, you must lose 2 kilos. Some of us weren't, like because I trained, come motocross and everything, he said, you just stay the same. I think like some Max and your front runners, they were all just stay the same. But maybe the kids are maybe a bit younger, or maybe newer to it, they were told like, you know, you need to lose 2 kilos, you need to lose 1 kilo or whatever. And like it was savage, like, and I'm glad I was old enough to like understand it and take it serious and everything. And but like it was equally good crack as well. Like I have loads of stories that I probably shouldn't tell you from it. Like I remember the Valencia MotoGP at the end of the first year. I remember, so if anyone's ever been to Valencia, I don't know if I can say the story, but I remember
we'll make it out in case
the best stories are usually the ones that are like not sure.
Risky, go on, fire it, go for it.
They put all the lemon trees about Valencia city, and they shake we used to go over, shake trees and like gather up maybe like 50-60 lemons, go up into whoever's hotel room at the highest balcony, and then throw lemons at the cars coming past. And like we done this all night, and then the next morning we're all going out of the bus and there's like 100 lemons on the floor. And like it was all just, I have so many memories of that. Like again, that at the end of the Valencia Grand Prix, all of us jump on the bikes, and the hire bikes that the hotel does, and like going out around Valencia, me, Roy Skinner, Lewis Patterson, Fenn Seabright, Jack Nixon, we probably forgot people, but yeah, just good that way. And then
a very good experience for a young person.
So good. And then so the next year, struggled with the weight, podium and stuff, and then like I remember that time Bruno podium, and I remember like Scott Ogden being like 12 kilos lighter than me, and I was like, well, that's the 12 kilos, bet my legs are a kilo heavier than his. And it was a hard thing to, just at the time it was really hard, but made me who I am, and made me like I had to learn how to ride the bike really hard, which probably helped me in the long run. And I actually remember that year at the World Superbike around Donington, and Appleyard had done the wild card with Jack Kennedy and Brad Jones, I think it was, and I remember sitting in the living area, and I came back and same again, I'd been in the podium battle and ended up 4th or 5th, and I'm like, you know, this is so hard, and I'm not like, I just keep getting like feel like getting kicked in the stomach every time because he wants trophy. And I remember Robin Appleyard stopping me and saying, because obviously he had raced 25s for a long time, and he had said, although the weight is hard now and you're battling this thing that's so hard, he says, it's the only time in your career, I promise you, where you're going to know everyone else has the exact same thing as you. The only difference is the weight. He says, because when you move on to the next thing, you're not going to know what he has, and he's not going to know what you have, and just enjoy this and get as much out of it as you can now. And it was good advice at the time, because I tell you, I got everything I could out of it, and I tried my best and it's just all part of growing up.
Was that your first sort of like interaction and meeting with Robin? Because obviously you went on to ride for him. How did that come about?
Just in the living area, parked beside him. He parked beside him, and then through the weekend you'd chat to him and he'd say, "Oh, how'd you get on there?" And then like 2 or 3 practices off, qualified in the front row, and he's like, "Oh, good man," whatever. And because he would have raced 25, so he liked it. Like, he watched it. Yeah, he would
have come and asked you. Got loads of respect for Robin. He's like a fantastic guy. He would have known every sector time that you had done.
Yeah.
Before he come and spoke to you, because he's just very good at spotting talent like that, and watching people and picking out riders and stuff. So
but yeah, another thing from that year, we obviously done the Brno Grand Prix, Silverstone Grand Prix, and then when the whole thing was done, look, it was sad, because they told us coming towards the end of it, look, I had done my time on Moto3s anyway, but they told us basically, look, this I don't know if I can say this, but there's not enough riders, and we're gonna change the format so that, you know, basically the format it is now, and we're pulling it from what it is now. And obviously I was going to be moving on or doing whatever after it, so it didn't affect me. But I remember the time thinking, like, this is such a shame. And it was that good, and even though it was hard at the time, and like again, it's grueling, you're going to weekend and you're looking over at the boy that's beating you, and you're in qualifying, and I've qualified 3rd, but 1/10 put me 1st and 1/10 put me 7th, and like he's sitting there looking at me, and we rolled the bikes out to the grid, and we're all on the little line, and we're looking at each other, and it was again a good environment. But I remember the last race, front row, Silverstone MotoGP, I remember Danny Ribalta, the rider coach, he came to me and he says, because obviously we knew that like it was done, and we were going home, and they'd taken, I think it was Ogden, they'd given the ride, the Junior Grand Prix ride, and he said, "Oh, Rhys, you deserve to be in this championship, and you will be World Championship rider someday, but not on this bike." And every time now I always think back, like when things are going hard now or I'm having a hard time, I always think back to like, if I'm just Danny and the boys and Alberto and the boys helping, or they thought I was good enough, I just keep chipping away.
Bit of motivation.
Yeah.
So because I remember Keelan riding a 600, and then you sort of just like, there was all of a sudden there was 2 years. One looks slightly different than the other one, and yeah, you just sort of like emerged on the 600 scene, didn't you? But did some winning straight away. I remember at the end, you just did that at the end of stock 600, didn't you?
So that there was 2019, the last year of the British Talent Cup, and obviously the Moto3 thing was tough for my weight and everything, and as much as I loved it and tried everything, it just wasn't going to work. And then after I was speaking with Danny and the British Talent Cup people, they were like, get on a big bike, like he said, like, get on a big bike, you'll make it work 100%. And so my brother was riding stock 6 at the time, an R6, and then the last round of the Irish Championship in Mandela was on like a couple of weeks later, because the Silverstone Grand Prix was quite early that year. I think it was maybe September time, and we were like, sure, I'll ride Keelan's R6 in the Mandela, the last round of the Irish Championship. And I went and done the test day on the Friday, and Saturday finished second in my first Supersport race on the Saturday, and on the Sunday won. And I think I'm one of the youngest riders, or one of, I can't remember actually what the stat was. I didn't actually know it. It was actually the Irish Superbike thing put it up that I was the youngest ever Supersport race winner. So I won the Saturday race. Then it rained on the Sunday, and I didn't want to wreck Keelan's R6 for the next round of VSP, so I just took it home nice and steady. But yeah, then straight away 600, liked it. But that year, then going into 2020, we had the COVID season and everything was hard. And so my brother, he actually started getting help from Astro. They run team now. Stuart Tromans, he gave my brother his ZX6 ride. The 66 had came, and they had Shane Richardson on now. God bless him. And they had Shane Richardson on it, so Shane was moving to stock 1000 and the ZX6 for me. He says, well, Keelan, you can ride that. So I was like, sure, I'll ride Keelan's old R6. I'll not be doing anyone in first year in 600. Keelan at this point had won races already in stock 6. He was going to be the man. It was going to be his year. So like, we came first the BSB tests, and I didn't even do them because like the BSB tests were expensive, and two of us on 600s, it wasn't going to be easy. So Keelan done the test, and I was literally doing his tyre warmers and Mechanigan doing his pit board of the tests here, like at Donington, like a week before the race. And
was he actually Mechanigan, Keelan?
Yeah. Oh,
could you call it that?
Yeah. I will say, me and
He's
Keelan,
getting the big nod, by the way.
Yeah, me and Keelan does the admin work and not hands-on work, but I would do all the Mechanigan. I don't do the admin. But yeah, so like that year again, didn't expect much. I was very lucky that year because probably one of the favourites of the championship, my brother, was like in the on with me, and he's always going to tell me what to do or help me, because it's my brother. So hadn't rode the bike much, hadn't done any of the pre-season testing, came here for the first race, and went down, obviously not just to ride, R6 whatever, got held, an FP1 got held at the pit lane for whatever time, tire 6 whatever, left the bike running, the bike got 110 degrees and I couldn't get out because I thought there was something wrong with it because it was smoking, but Dad goes, you just boiled it, you big idiot. So again, another lesson you learn. And so I got out in FP2, first session, finished up wherever finished, qualified quite far down, but in the race came from like 15th or 16th on the grid and finished 8th, and I was like, you know what, that's alright. Keelan had finished first or second or whatever, and I went to Snowdon next again. Like in this point, because it was my dad sort of looking after the two of us, Dad and another guy that would come with us and help, and like it was a lot of work, so like I didn't have a pit board in the sessions. So at Snowdon, I remember riding around and just going hard as I could, out now, Snowdon, qualifying hard as I could, round 2, and I came in and I remember rolling into pit lane and Jack Kennedy going out like this here, and I was like, what the hell is he? What's he cheering about? I had qualified in pole and I didn't even know.
No way.
Yeah, no lap timer on the bike, no pit board, nothing. And Dad and Jack gave me thumbs up, and I think I qualified first, and something happened. I think Keelan was the back of the grid, but I can't remember why, whether it maybe broke down or something, and couldn't believe it. And then that race finished second or third, I think. But again, first time, it's like when you go from like a little bike to a big bike, it feels different, you're still sussing stuff out. And at that point, we didn't change anything really. I think we went like that year with Snellerton, Silverstone, Olden, and I didn't change click, didn't change gear, and didn't change nothing. When I
rode it.
Yeah, after Snellerton I got a pit board obviously. But like when the pit board would say like P2, I would go, well, I'll find a bit here now. I'll figure out what to do. I didn't understand that you'd come in and change stuff and make it better. Or
you were still finding it within rather than...
because like, see, to be fair, like the British Handcup Moto3s were all the same, all fairly standard, and like it was just couldn't do much. If you come in and...
So do you think that helped in that respect? Has it just made you want to find it more from the rider?
I'd say it's a good thing to have, but also not on maybe understanding the benefits of improving the bike probably is not a good habit either. But yeah, like as that year went on, I probably shouldn't say this story if anyone in Irish Revenue is listening. So that was obviously the COVID season. So I was working 1 day a week in the motorbike shop, a local motorbike shop. But when we didn't do furlough the way you did, we did COVID payments. So no matter what you were earning in Ireland, they gave you €350 a week. So the bike shop put me down for saying I was working full time. So I was getting this €350 a week. And I remember at the time this being like, I got every second week, the races were every second week, and every second week I got €700 in a bank account, like a student bank account, and I would go up to Pirelli and my tyre bill was £288 per set, so I'd be able to get 2 sets for my 2 COVID payments. And that's how, like, at the time, because for mum and dad, 2 of us riding 600 was difficult. And I remember that year going like 2 COVID payments, 2 sets of tyres, so set for the qualifying and set for the race. And then when I got after Snetterton, I'd finished the podium and I got 2 sets of prize tyres as the stock 6U1 tyres, and I was like,
it's like this.
I'm balling. And like that year,
rain and rubber.
That year I had like my British Talent Cup boots, my British Talent Cup gloves, my British Talent Cup helmet, and J&L accessories. Give me a set of BKS off the peg leathers, like, and I wasn't expecting anything. Genuinely, it was Keelan's. Like, he was going to be winning, doing well, and then I went from Snetterton to Silverstone, qualified in pole, went to Donington, I think, I'd won like quite a few races that year, but because maybe Donington was a bit low and I think Olton or somewhere else maybe was just a bit hard. You go to Olton and
it's difficult.
First time 600 is just difficult, and I think I finished maybe 4th, and then I come into the last round, and then part through that season as well, Astro Stu that was helping Keelan with the ZX6 started buying me like brake pads and wearable stuff for the bike.
You made your brother look like a mug,
yeah. I remember actually a snare, and he rang Keelan and he goes, "You said your brother was fast, like, but you didn't say he was this fast." And so that was like all these, again, like going through your career, you met good people come and help, and good people whatever, and like he started helping me a bit then with brake pads and stuff, and again making it possible, because like I'm starting to close down the lead in the championship. I've won 2 or 3 races in a row now, and you're kind of get the momentum going, and went to Brands Hatch, whatever, points behind, and chain snapped on the first lap of the first race. So that was out. I can't remember if that mathematically put me out of winning the championship, but it like put the nail in the coffin. And then I won the next race, because the way the grid works, you drop many positions. I might have been 12th or 13th in the grid, and then I won that race from 12th in the grid. And again, wasn't enough championship, so another British championship that I'm like finished second and by like a handful of points that I'm sick about.
Who won it that year?
Ben Luxton. Ben Luxton won it that year, and obviously this was the stock 6 year, and this was before I obviously it ended up going to Appleyard at the end of the year, and because obviously I had done the British Talent Cup thing, which was brilliant, but the rest of my racing was very much dad lad scrimping, like going to, like, getting out of the session, taking my gloves off, pulling the wheels out of the bike myself, going to Pirelli to sort tyres, going to this, going to that. By the time the bikes worked, prep for FP2 or qualifying or whatever, put my gloves on, and like that's just how it was. It was normal. Like and to be fair, in stock 6 probably was the norm for everyone. You know, it probably wasn't different to like most of the grid. And I remember through the year, it was actually a guy, John from the Visor shop. He comes and he watches the races now. He would have known Robin Appleyard, and he said to Robin after one of the rounds, saying that Rhys Irwin boy, you should put him on R6, like he's only been riding Moto3. And then obviously I assume Robin remembered me from like the year before Moto3, and then I'd done stock 6, and I went somewhere, and as you say, sector time, I think it was Silverstone, where like my sector 3, which was like just the end of the back straight, and like my sector 3 was like Rory had won Supersport that year, and it was like would have been second in Supersport's sector 3, and like matched Rory, or like nearly matched Rory within like a couple of tenths or whatever. And he like started chatting to me then, and I remember Brands Hatch, me and my brother finished 1-2 in the race Sunday. So me and brother, 1-2, Brands Hatch. I won. Keelan was second on the podium.
Sorry, just emphasise that.
I was going to ask, but I knew it was going to come out if it was that way round.
Yeah, I was first. Keelan was second. Closely fought.
Who bought the Mackies on the way home after that one?
The thing is, both of us actually got a bit of prize money, so it was so we might have got maybe 300 quid between
You're
the
gonna
two of us.
You're gonna get shafted off the tax man.
Yeah. Again, if anyone from Revenue's listening, that story about the COVID payment was alleged. I was also a student. Probably wasn't, allowed to get anything, but
No, Christ. Class.
But allegedly.
So I remember like that year that you rode the stock 600. Meeting you a few times because Jack was kind of helping out, wasn't he? And we do track walks and stuff. And then the next year when you rode for Robin, I came to the Snetterton test, which I wasn't meant to be. I wasn't working for the team or anything, but there were mechanics short for the test, and I came down. Yeah. I remember just having the crack with you. I don't think we actually did much, did we? Because
no, pushed rain the whole time. Yeah,
and it was freezing cold and whatever.
It was horrible.
And I remember then that was the sort of like
first time. Yeah. And again, I would say at that point, I'd done the British Talent Cup and then Stock 6. Like I got 6 races on a Stock 6 bike. It's not like I got 2 seasons to just ride in this big bike. And like when I say I done 3 races without even changing the gearing, like we were doing just riding it, just taking it as it comes. So I remember Brands Hatch 1-2, me and Keelan, and then doing the normal thing, packing up the awning. And we used to have this old truck that we had from Motocross, and we used to slide the awning poles up the chassis. But the only person that could go in under, you had to climb under the truck and ratchet strap them so they wouldn't come out. And I'm not joking. If you think probably a 20-year-old truck that's been up and down the length and breadth of England for a couple of years, underneath was black. So I remember Robin stopping on the scooter, and obviously this is when you would have been chatting and trying to get a plan together and stuff, and I remember Robin seeing the bottom of the Appleyard Vitty, was the Yamaha Vitty, and I remember like rolling out from underneath the truck, hands black, everything black, probably sweating still after the race, and Robin just being like, well, we're all like, we'll go again, like that's a good job next year, good race, we'll get a plan for next year. And I remember thinking like it's unbelievable. But I do think I went from, although the British Talent Cup was amazing and Moto3 and I learned a lot and the learning curve was very steep, I got 6 races in a stock 6, so I didn't even really get a chance to find my feet. I just had a Yamaha 6 and I was just riding it. And like I said, when the pit board said plus whatever, I'll just push 0.5 farther and see where I end up. And I that year, and then obviously it was the year after COVID, and COVID, remember, kind of dipped and then came back again, so there was more lockdowns and stuff, and that year was brilliant. I learned a lot. A very steep learning curve that year. I kind of had to find my feet and figure out how to ride big bike and stuff at that point. And you probably remember from the Snetterton test, like the first time I sat in the Appleyard bike at Silverstone, I think I was either second or third at the test.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, yes, that's what it was like. And then I remember going to Snetterton and I was like 6th, and I was like, what the hell? And you're so hard to like wrap your head around it. But obviously through your racing career, whatever, you have like these like wee sort of peaks and troughs, whatever, and then obviously the more of them you have, you get better at like managing it. So I remember like that year, like when things were good, it was good, and then I would struggle with stuff and it would be hard, and I just had to learn. I was just like any normal 18-year-old, whatever age it was, and like I had a good year. I had broke the lap record at Silverstone, qualified on pole, couple of podiums, couple of front rows, but I just had to learn a bit, and it was hard, and just.
You did have a good year in Supersport, and I mean, you did a lot of crashing, fair to say. But because I think everyone will understand now, having listened to your story, that it was because you were trying.
Yeah, I will say one thing about me, and it's maybe why I warmed to Ben Wilson and the people through my career that I have warmed, maybe why Danny and stuff, I would say like I'm definitely a trier. Like if anyone in the garage with me can tell you there's like they'd never ever be accused me of not trying my best. Yeah. Maybe sometimes too much. And I think just when you're in that position, you're riding this bike and you go like, and you're trying to maybe just learn a lot very fast. And again, I had great rides and I had things that I was struggling with. And if I knew now, because you do a couple of years and like, I'd never had a bike with electronics before. I never had a bike that didn't have a needle. Moto3 had a needle, stock 6 or 6 had a needle.
Needle.
Yeah, and then like Alex goes to me, like, oh, what about engine brake? And I was like, oh, what do you mean engine braking? Just go down the gears. I'm probably made myself sound stupid there. I obviously understood how engine braking worked, but I didn't know how much better it could be, how much worse it could be, how much it's holding me back and everything. So it's all stuff that you have to learn. And the biggest thing I would say I struggled with that year, because it was the year after COVID. I don't know if you remember, we had like 6 back-to-backs.
Yeah.
And like we wouldn't even go home between the back-to-back. So we would do the race and then you would stay in like service stations or stay at the track for a night or two and like in the camper and then the next race. So I didn't get to test the bike because Silverstone test, we got it and I was second or whatever, but Silverstone setup maybe wasn't that important. And then went to Snetterton test, 5th or 6th. We only got 2 sessions, I think it was. And then we went to round 1. And like round 1's Oldham Park, which is already probably a hard track and a big bike. And then you're in Supersport. And again, I think I qualified 9th, 0.4 off the front row. But like, I was always felt like I was just, if I could have just maybe got a little bit of a jump, like I was with them. And then rounds I did, like Silverstone, I was able to go well. And I had good rounds.
Yeah,
stuff,
glimpses of like, just, but not just glimpses of a good weekend, like that lap record.
Silverstone,
you beat Jack to pole position.
Yeah.
Like,
And then in the race as well, like as much as like I grew up watching Jack TV, I respect Jack so much. Like in that race, I caught and passed Jack.
Yeah.
And like beat him. And like, I remember just thinking at the time, like that's mad to have him after beating Jack Kennedy.
I think actually looking at you now from then, it's not that you're I wouldn't say like this, probably not the way to sum it up, not that you're a better rider. What's the difference between when you first did Supersport and now? I think you always showed that you could do that, but maybe that you've just you learned the job a little bit more and you've
understand
100%,
it, and then you can
it's almost
refine what you've got. It's already in there, but refine it. And make it
and
work.
just that experience that you admitted yourself, like you had a year full of crashes. Like this year, you've had one crash.
Yeah, one crash. Yeah,
and like you've been touch wood.
Yeah,
you know, like you've. I think I know you rode the Suzuki before this year, and then you were on the Kawasaki for a bit. But there's like this year feels like a step up for Rhys Irwin, almost like, I don't want to say growing up because it sounds condescending, but I mean like you've matured as a rider almost is like, probably the way to say it.
I'm a firm believer like you can't pick your opportunities. Whatever life has or God, whatever it is, the plan is for you, you can't pick your opportunities. So yeah, another year in stock 6, if I got more than 6 races on the bike, I probably could have come into Supersport and went like good step, but like who knows, you would have got another opportunity to go and drive the Appleyard bike at that time was an unbelievable opportunity and learned so much, and it was brilliant and it was tough, and there was some stuff that I struggled with, and maybe just because I didn't have enough, how do I say, I didn't have enough to say I want this changed or I want to do this here or this doesn't feel right to me, because I just thought it has to be perfect, but obviously nothing's perfect, and you kind of ride around stuff and put up with stuff that maybe now I would change after 5 laps in the bike. Yeah. But you just didn't know, and then again, this is all part of learning, part of life, and that's all. You just think I'm in the team that's won 4 British championships and they know what they're doing, and it's not that they don't know what they're doing, but also like they need to work with you, don't they? But 100%. You need to know kind of what you want sometimes. Like, and one of the things I struggled with all year, even if they probably knew that was how it was, they would have changed it anyway. It was just I didn't know enough to say, can you look at that and check that, because I don't like that.
The thing is, when you're very green, you obviously had the talent within you to ride it, but didn't have the knowledge to know this could be changed or that could be changed. Or even, sometimes you don't even know what you want, because if you've never had something better, you don't know it can even be better. So you don't ask for it.
I thought that this was a problem all year, and I never said anything about it, because I thought maybe I'm just being a I don't want to say a bad word there. But not sure how PG this thing is.
Oh, you can say what you like. But listening to you, I like listening to your mentality. I've sat here and listened, and mainly with a smile on my face, to be fair, because it's very refreshing to hear that you've spoke so much about how great every opportunity is that you've had. And it's interesting because in this paddock, generically, there's a lot of people that are always wishing they had something else or something different. So that's just from me to you just saying it. I think it's a brilliant mentality that you've got, just to be so, okay, maybe someone had a different package, but you were so grateful for such an opportunity and you made the most of it. And that is I think it's obviously stood you in good stead till now, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad to know that you were smiling at him. I thought someone had I thought you sold something, or someone had sent you some money or something.
The thing is the glare on the camera now. when Grace goes back to edit, it's all going to be blurry.
No, you're right though. It has actually. I've enjoyed listening to that. Like I say, I've known you for a good few years now, and I actually didn't realise at that time, when we were spending time together, that you hadn't ridden for that long.
I'd like...
That's actually a shock. Like, it generally has almost changed my perception of you a little bit, to have even like more respect for you, because to do what you've done in British Talent Club and you know, let's face it, there's no Superstock 600 class anymore, but like a lot of doers came through.
Oh
that
yeah,
year.
Stock 6 was,
That was
yeah.
no joke.
Yeah.
And look at Supersport now, like we said earlier on. You know, Jack's 5 times British champion. Curry's won it.
Yeah.
Stapleford's won it. You know, and you're, you know, showing them the way around at the minute. So fair play, absolutely fair play.
Looking forward, what is the? Let's say it all goes well, or let's finish the season off. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? That's a better way of putting it.
Well, like back to my line, I'm a firm believer that you can't pick your opportunities. What's for you won't pass you. You know, whether it's life or fate or God's plan, whatever the hell it is, you can't pick them. So I just think every time I get on the bike, try my absolute hardest, and whatever comes up, and just
let's just say you win the British Supersport Championship this year. Even if you don't, you've been running at the front all year. It would be fair to say that if a Superbike team was looking for someone from Supersport, they would be thinking about you and maybe a handful of others. If the opportunity came to ride a Superbike next year, would you take that mentality you took to Appleyards and go for it? Or would you say, you know, maybe I want to stay here? Or
it's one thing at the minute. I'll say I'm fully focused British Supersport. Like it's see, to get myself at this point in my career, this is my life's work. Everything I've ever done, every bead of sweat, every cut elbow, everything is my life's work. Everything I've ever wanted is to be here, British Supersport, and I'm very lucky. I have great people around me. So whatever decision or whatever thing would pop up, I would always have great people to speak to. Like I'm very lucky. I'm managed by Shakey Byrne. So if someone was to pop up that was a good opportunity and good thing, I would grab it with both hands and make the most of it. But all I'm thinking about this minute, this present time, is trying to just do my best I can, and look, whatever pops up.
You touched there a bit about Shakey. Obviously, he's since he's not been riding, got into the kind of like management side of things and looking after a few riders. How has that been for you? Because that's sort of been in the last few years. Do you think he's contributed to your like the success that you're having?
Good. To be honest, the best way to put it with me and Shakey is just more that like he's like a really good friend, and it's nice. I speak to him every week, and obviously he's no slouch, like, so it's nice to have.
He's been around a bit.
Yeah, like between him and Ben Wilson, I have any amount of boys that are well capable of going fast on motorbike around me, which is a good position to be in. I move anything, like I get on really well with them, friends with them. I'll talk to them, I'll ring them, and like not even talking motorbike sometime. You know, we'll be talking about, I'm not a very good golfer, I'm more of a surfer. But Shakey does a lot of golf. I don't think he's a good golfer either, but we'll not tell him that.
Too late.
And he probably can't surf either.
That clip's just gone straight in his inbox.
And but yeah, I good friend, but then also he does help a lot, and I will say I do trust him with everything. Like I like concentrating the motorbike race, and I like putting everything I can into it and riding the bike and working as hard as I can and doing everything as much as I can and doing whatever, and I trust that he will obviously do his best to help me with stuff, help me ride the bike, help if any opportunities came along. He would help tell me what was good and what's not good. Like it was I just, above all else, I trust him. And like, you know, through my career, he first started helping me in 2023. Like I'll probably can say like I had a Superbike offer then, and like it, to be fair, it was a good opportunity and everything, but when you sit down with the man that's won it 6 times and he says, I think that's maybe not the right thing for you to do right now, and to be honest, I'm sitting here right now and I've no regrets. Like I think that was, you know what, he was damn right. Yeah. You know, I'm glad I'm in a good place now, and I'm delighted, I'm happy, and life's going well, and again, I've no regrets. I would never regret anything anyway. I don't like to think like that. I just like to think, you know, whatever, it's past. But yeah, above all else, I just trust him, and I've no problem asking him. Like, it's stupidest thing in the world, I'll pick up the phone, ring him and ask him. In
terms of us getting an answer out of you, in terms of like future, what do you want? it's a shit answer, but what's great is it shows how in the moment you are and focused on the here and now rather than this pie in the sky thing, which again I can only give you credit for, really.
Yeah. There's one thing I say, I just always be so focused on like getting the best out of everything I have now. It's like what the thing from the guy in the office, he goes, if you know you're in the good times when you're in the good times, and I'm very aware that this right now, Gearlink Performance 15 Suzuki, I will, as long as I live, look back and go like, that was class. I had my dad and my brother and Ben Wilson and Barry, like all of us against Motorpedo, Honda, and things have been going well and I'm loving it, and I know might be in a different team in a couple of years time, and I'll go, like, how good was that back then?
Yeah,
and
brilliant.
I want to make sure I enjoy and get everything out of it.
It's actually really refreshing to hear that, because we talk a lot about this, you know. I mean, if you took a poll of superbike riders at the moment and asked them how many of them are actually happy, I would imagine it's probably lower than you think.
Yeah.
And you know, the sport is the highs are high and the lows are lows.
Low, yeah.
And it's difficult sometimes to when you are low to kind of remember to look back on the things and go, actually, I'm really like grateful for even just being here and doing this.
Do you think in sport though it's hard to appreciate the situation you're in because you're so fixated on the
next thing? Yeah.
Well, just the competition and the pressure of the competition and the do you know what I mean? Rather than actually going, this is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I always like to think you never know what's around the corner, and through your career when you're like coming up through and I've always been in a position where I felt like I had to do good to make sure I could do this again next year. So I just always like need to make the most of everything, and you don't know what's around the corner. You don't know what's going to happen. And as well, life's flashing by. I'm sure I'll blink and I'll be like I'm
my
20,
age.
yeah, I'm 23.
Careful now.
I'm sure I'll blink and all these years to go past, yeah. And I want to make sure that I enjoy every second of the journey. As much as, don't get me wrong, like if Davide Tardozzi or Ducati says, "Well, we'll ring you now," I'll be like, "Yep, no bother." You actually ring Shakey, he'll get me a few pounds. But
I think that's an incredibly healthy outlook on it, and you know, I think something that I remember an interview that Chrissy did a few years ago now. It's like, I'll get the numbers wrong. There's 30 million people live in the UK, for example. There's only 20 people riding in British Supersport, 25 in Superbike. Actually, statistically, even just to be on the grid and doing it is like a huge thing.
Don't get me wrong, I'll have days where I've been happy and I've had hard years and I've had hard times, but even like just always like I just always try and be as happy as I can, because again I just don't want to waste a second. You never know when everyone's up.
100%.
Love it.
We've got some cracking questions from the patrons. I'll go with the first one here. You'll like this one. Mark Power. He's basically saying, how difficult is it? And actually, this is quite a serious question. There's a lot of lads from Ireland racing over here, and his question is, how difficult is it travelling from Donegal to the UK every time? Like, we moan about having to drive up the A1
from Newcastle,
and like you have to go to a port, get on an overnight boat, and then actually you're not even half an hour into Ireland, you're the other side. So it's 4 days of racing and 2 days of travelling either side.
Travelling is hard, I will say. It's hard, and it's also expensive. So you think for like even people coming through now, like I'm Donegal, so I go 4 hours Dublin boat, Holyhead to wherever, and like it's a pain or whatever. But actually, I think it was last weekend or someone asked me, how do you manage like balancing like work and travel and racing and everything? And like, as much as it's all a disaster, I find like it's harder to concentrate at work because I'm thinking about going racing in 2 days than like coming here. So it's as much as a pain or whatever, like, but it just is where it is. Like Donegal is a lovely place to live for the other 50 weekends in the year. Or 40 weekends a year, Jesus. The other 40 weekends in the year, like, and it's I'm on the coast of everything, and no one over there. Like it's lovely, but then when I have to travel anywhere, it's a bit of a pain.
Yeah.
And what is your day job?
I'm a quantity surveyor in building contractors.
Just because Mark Jackson's asked, hi Rhys, given your day job training, how carefully do you read your racing team contracts before signing them? And also says all the best for the rest of the season.
Well, I don't read them. I have a man.
Have a man for that. Shakey?
Well, I do look over them, but in like a nice way. I remember when I got my Gearlink contract, I remember like, because obviously like I grew up for years watching British Supersport, and because again, like I said, my brother does everything, and Keelan grew up really like BSB in the head. It's like I remember sitting watching Superbike Sunday and Eurosport, you'd have World Superbikes BSB on, and like I remember watching, I was God knows what age, like I remember watching like Ben Olsen and Seeley or Jack Kennedy and Martrain, and whatever for that. Probably don't remember that. I remember more being really young and watching Jack Kennedy beating Tvoglu. At the time I didn't know who Jack Kennedy was, but I remember thinking, there's an Irish boy after beating Keenan and everyone thinks he's brilliant. And like I remember all this, and I remember when I signed the Gearlink contract thinking like, this is cool, like I've watched this on TV.
Yeah.
And like it's just mad, cool,
Yeah.
The another great question here from Rosalind. She's saying, what's been like what's a standout moment of your season so far?
Of my season, standout moment. It's hard. The whole thing's been good. Like at the first test I done the bike, and like I hadn't done any pre-season on the bike. We done an NG club race at Cadwell, and then went to Oulton Test. Didn't even do the other BSB tests, and I topped that. And I remember then being like, well, how long I can keep how long I can keep this going for. And then I went to Oulton, and I think it was second on Friday, and then I had a mechanical first lap of qualifying, so I didn't get to do a qualifying lap, so I ended up 28th or whatever. Came back 28th to 5th, never got the second race. And then like all year I've been like good, so it's hard to say. Maybe probably Thruxton winning, or Nelson Knockhill winning. But yeah, all year it's been good. I've just been loving it. Like I know this year's all just been good. Enjoy every second.
Rosalind also is giving you a shout out here for signing a program at Cadwell. Yeah. She said you're a lovely guy, which is one word for you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Great, mate. Well, honestly, thanks ever so much for coming. I know we're going to maybe do this tomorrow, and we brought it forward. So thanks for making time on a Thursday, because I know it's busy. And really enjoyed that. And looking forward to the weekend, mate. All the best.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm not actually sure how long it went for. I was kind of thinking how would I have enough time to cover everything, but it.
You've done an hour and a half, so that's pretty good going.
Oh yeah, that's not bad. Yeah.
It's a good stint.
Yeah, you know what? It's a good start.
Yeah.
We've even got a couple more years there that we can work in whenever I come back.
Well, you never know. The next time might be to discuss the British Championship.
Yeah. Hopefully, you're right. Think touch wood.
So
touch wood. But again, I will say, to be fair, all year I've not been like thinking about it even. I just think to myself all year, try come home with 2 trophies, or do a good job, do Ben and Michael proud for giving the opportunity or whatever, and then it's worked so far, and I'll just keep doing the same thing. I don't want to start, I feel like once I start thinking about it is when I'll start like panicking, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's easy just to try and just...
Well, I've really enjoyed having you on. Like, you've got a new fan, and I'm not trying to groom you.
Because all grooming is bad.
All grooming is bad, but you've gained an extra fan for sure.
But you know what? If you're a spare motocross bike, you can groom me. Yeah.
Oh god.
You can motocross groom me. Yes.
I'm gonna get a phone call. Josh, I've broken Rhys, and he's in Newcastle. We need to do something.
I was sure he could clear the double.
No, great stuff, mate. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you.
Just a few bits to round up on. So obviously, big thank you to all the sponsors as well. So Lucky Day Competitions, JCT Truck and Trailer, OMG Racing as always, and just a little shout out on the merch. Grace has been working flat out on some different merches and stuff. So we've got a t-shirt now, which is the same as our race team clothing basically. So we've got t-shirt, polo shirt, and a quarter zip. Also still got some stock of various books left. I think you've sold quite a few of them now, but there seems to be new authors coming all the time, which is great. So head over to the Shopify store, and you can get your orders in there.
Hi, everyone will buy them up.
Happy days.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys.
This week's episode sponsor is Ultimate Experience, an events company that specialises in automotive events. So they look after events specifically for car manufacturers, bike manufacturers, anything within the space. Their next event is in collaboration with Norton, which is going to be running from Saturday the 13th to Sunday the 14th of September. And that is going to be held at the Duxford Imperial War Museum. Some of the CTR team will be there riding bikes and supporting as well. So if you want to get booked on that, you can do so if you follow the link in the description. And anybody who has any requirements for events within the automotive industry, be sure to contact Ultimate Experience.